Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys some players to buy and sell for FPL Game Week 2. Now this will be a new series on the channel. Every week I will pick out some players and I'll pass a verdict on them, whether to buy them, to sell them, or in certain situations even whether to hold them or not. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this series. If you want to keep up to date with it, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and also if you do enjoy this one, please do drop a like as well. So let's start off this video with the first buy, and that is Diogo Jota. So he did really well over the weekend. He scored a goal from a Mo Salah assist. And the thing with Jota in general is that we always didn't know whether he would start games or whether he was going to get significant minutes, because there's so many attackers that Liverpool can choose from. But I think the way that things panned out in game week 1 for Jota, it bodes well for his minutes going forward as well as his starts. So he started the game, he got about 80-ish minutes, and he got taken off for Cody Gakpo. So firstly, he got a return there. So in general, I always felt like if he got a return and started off the season well, he would continue to keep his place. Even in preseason, we had a strong feeling that he was the first choice for the centre forward position already. And looking at the fixtures that Liverpool have, it's Brentford at home, Nottingham Forest at home, and Bournemouth at home in the next 4 fixtures. Yes, they have Manchester United away in game week 3, but I still do think that it's a fixture they can score. So fixtures wise, it's fantastic for Liverpool. And in terms of his minutes and starts, I think it also looks good. The fact that Cody Gakpo only got 10 minutes and also Darwin Núñez not even getting any minutes whatsoever, I think it just means that Jota is still likely going to be the first choice. The next few game weeks potentially could see him coming off slightly earlier, maybe in the 70th to 75th minute. I don't rule that out, but I think a start is pretty much quite certain for him, at least in the short term. And I do think like if he continues to perform at the level that he is, he will keep his place. So he got 3 shots and 1 shot on target. That was the goal that he scored. But he also had a really good chance before he scored the goal, which was a header, and he usually puts those away. So on another day, he could have scored 2 goals as well, right? You see there 2 big chances for him, and an XG of 0.95 as well. So really good performance from Jota in the first game week. I do think he will continue to keep his spot. So he makes that price tag of 7.5 million really a bit of a joke. So I do think like if you are in the market for a midfielder, a mid-priced midfielder, Diogo Jota is the one that I would go for. So next up, we have 2 forwards. The first is Rodrigo Muniz and the second is Chris Wood. So both of them are priced at 6 million and their ownership is pretty low as well, less than 10%. Chris Wood returned in game week 1. He got 1 goal from the single shot that he took that was on target. It was a rebound and he placed it into the bottom right corner. For Rodrigo Muniz, he didn't get any returns because he played against Manchester United, so it's a slightly tougher fixture for him, and I guess it was expected that he wouldn't return. But the fixtures moving forward look really good for both of them. So I have it up next to me here. So for Nottingham Forest, it's Southampton away and Wolves at home. And for Fulham, it is Leicester at home and Ipswich away. So I guess I would say in the next 2 game weeks, Rodrigo Muniz has these slightly better fixtures because both of the fixtures are against teams that just promoted, but I don't think there's too much to separate in terms of fixtures. So both in terms of fixtures are good. I would say that the minutes wise, they also share similar concerns in that there's always ready replacements for them. Raul Jimenez for Rodrigo Muniz came on around the 70th minute. Chris Wood, similar to Rodrigo Muniz, got subbed early, sometime around the 70th to 72nd minute as well, for Taiwo Awoniyi. So both of them generally are starters, but they would also kind of get 70 to 75 minute arguably, right? So you're not getting full 90 minutes with both of them. They're both also not on penalty, so a very similar kind of FPL asset in both of these players. So really what I would use to kind of separate these 2 players is actually the team attack in general, how good the Fulham attack is as opposed to the Nottingham Forest attack. And to be frank, I think Nottingham Forest, even though they managed to put a goal past Bournemouth early on, I still do think like they did not look super good. And I do think like if I think back to last season, Rodrigo Muniz and Fulham were a slightly better attacking team. Of course, going into the new season, things could change, but for now, I still back that Fulham are the better attacking team. And the Leicester at home fixture in game week 2 is a really good fixture at Craven Cottage for Fulham to have, and I do think that is the one that we will see many goals there. So if I was really choosing between one here, I think both are good buys because the fixtures are definitely there for them, but if I was to choose between one, I could be going for Rodrigo Muniz there instead of Chris Wood, despite Chris Wood being the one who scored a goal this week. So let me know what you think, and if you're in a market for a cheap forward at around 6 million, let me know which one of these two that you would be choosing. So next up, I have two sells. The first is Gerald Quansah and the second is Valentin Barco. So in terms of the urgency to sell these players, if you do have someone on the bench that you can start in place of these two players, then I would do so. But if you don't, and if you have to start these players, then I do think like selling them is the way to go. So talking about Quansah first, he was hooked at halftime, and the words from Arne Slot was that Gerald Quansah was losing too many aerial duels, so he wanted to sub someone on that had a better chance at winning aerial duels, and that was Konate. And he felt like after that, Liverpool were able to take control of the game. So in general, for me, that is a massive red flag. I think it does not bode well for Gerald Quansah's minutes moving forward. Yes, he could see a couple of games here and there, he could see a couple of starts here and there, but by no means is he as guaranteed a start as we thought he would be, or at least the 6.2% of people who have gone for him thought he would be. We always knew that his minutes would be slightly under threat if he did not perform, because Konate is very well a player that could be starting in his position as well. So that was what we saw when he was hooked at halftime. Konate came on, Liverpool managed to gain a better control of the game, and they went on to win, right? So given that's the case, I do think like maybe Quansah could very well lose his spot there. So Quansah definitely a sell. And at 4.5 million, if I was selling either Quansah or Barco, I would prioritize selling Quansah because there are better options at the 4.5 million bracket than the 4 million bracket. Now, next up, it's Valentin Barco. Now, a lot of us, even in fact, 23.9% of the game thought that Valentin Barco was kind of going to be a regular starter, especially since, Estupiñán is not fully ready yet or fully fit. So we all thought that Valentin Barco would start, but he did not start, and in fact, Hinshelwood was the one that started in his spot. So that came as a massive shock to a lot of people. A lot of Brighton fans predicted that Valentin Barco would be the one starting there, given he had a great preseason. He was on a lot of set pieces as well. There was a lot of reasons to go for him, but given that he was benched very suddenly in game week 1, I think we kind of know the thoughts that Hertzler has on Barco. Maybe he does not think he's as ready to start a Premier League game, right? So even last season, he did not have that many minutes under his belt. So it could be a situation where he's trying to ease him in, and maybe he gets minutes over the course of the first few game weeks. But he's not a starter. So in this case, I think it's quite clear we need to sell him. But in terms of him being at a 4.0 million bracket, I don't think there are a lot of other options at that price range. Maybe a Harwood Bellis, a Greaves from Ipswich, even a Johnson from Ipswich as well. But if not, I don't think these 4 million priced defenders are the ones that you'll be starting week in, week out. So I really don't think he is an urgent sell. Again, except for the case where you need to start Barco this week. But given that it's only game week 2, my guess is that you would have a replacement on the bench and you could just bench Barco, in which case I just bench Barco and just wait and see what happens with him. But in fact, come the time when you wildcard, I do think like you would be taking him out of your team. So for now, I have Gerald Quansah and Valentin Barco as sells. So staying on defenders, my go-to 4.5 million defender that I would recommend you guys to buy is Anthony Robinson from Fulham. He's quite low owned at the moment, still only 8.9%. But if you're selling someone like Gerald Quansah, or if you have money to upgrade Barco, for example, the player that I would be buying this week as a defender is Anthony Robinson. They did not keep a clean sheet against Manchester United last week, but that was pretty much not the easy fixture for them. It's fine for them to lose 1-0 in fact. I think the kind of good run of fixtures for them really starts now from game week 2. It's Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, and even the slightly tougher fixtures there like Newcastle are at Craven Cottage. So basically I think like this run of fixtures for them is really good. I could see some clean sheets there. And in fact, Anthony Robinson, as we've seen from past seasons as well, is a very attacking defender. So he could very well get an assist as well. So if he does keep a clean sheet, that is likely a double-digit haul there. So Anthony Robinson is the standout 4.5 million option for me if you're looking for a defender. The stats here don't really show it because we only have one game week of a sample size. So it's pretty much a caveat for all the other stats that you see in this video as well. One game week is a very small sample size. We need about 5 to 6 game weeks to reliably look at the data. But at least looking at the heat map here, you can see a bit of activity in the opponent's half as well. So he does venture forward, and even against Manchester United, he did pull in a couple of balls as well. So I think looking at the style of play that he possesses, he could be someone that could do really well in the next few game weeks. So if you're looking for a replacement as a defender, Anthony Robinson for me is the one. Now, in terms of short-term defenders, if you're looking for a replacement just for these coming maybe 2 to 3 games, really a short-term pick, I think Rico Lewis and Lewis Hall are the ones that I would be looking at. Both of them are priced at 4.5 million. So again, around a similar price bracket to Gerald Quansah, and 0.5 million more expensive than Barco if you do have the money. But both of them, for different reasons, I think are really good short-term options. So Rico Lewis, Pep really sung praises of him after yesterday's game. He was at the right places at the right time. And in general, when he plays, we know that he does venture forward as well. He has the ability to kind of link up play in the midfield. So fully capable of getting attacking returns, Rico Lewis. And in fact, if for 4.5 million, entry into a Manchester City defense, which is still a very elite defense, and they kind of controlled the game against Chelsea yesterday. There's a pretty good run of fixtures for them over the next 3 game weeks, and Kyle Walker was on the bench, but he did not get any minutes whatsoever, and I think it is probably Rico Lewis who is going to start the next few games until Kyle Walker is slowly eased into the Man City squad again. I still do think for sure that Kyle Walker is first choice over Rico Lewis, but over these next few game weeks, I don't see Kyle Walker starting over Rico Lewis, and that's why he is a short-term option for me. Again, the stats here don't really show, but we will see. I do think like looking at the style of play that he possesses, he does have the license to venture forward, and he's not afraid of taking shots as well. So I think Rico Lewis, a good option to go for, quite a spicy differential as well, 0.7%, but only if I am looking at the short term, because there are definitely minutes risks associated with Man City defenders. Now, looking at Lewis Hall, who is the next defender that I've kind of recommended for a short-term punt, I think Lewis Hall is still likely going to be the left back for Newcastle and likely going to start there. Fabian Schär losing his spot, I guess because he got a red card, he's going to be out of the Newcastle team for 3 game weeks because he is suspended. And what happened then was Jacob Murphy was taken off, so he was kind of sacrificed, and the defender that they substituted on was Emil Kraft. So the backline that we saw pretty much for majority of the Southampton game for Newcastle was Tino Livramento on the right. It was Dan Burn as well as Emil Kraft in centre back, and then it was Lewis Hall at left back. So I do think that is still the backline that we will see. Potentially Lloyd Kelly coming in for maybe Emil Kraft could be a situation, but I don't see. Yes, the substitution that was made around the 76th minute was Lewis Hall coming out for Lloyd Kelly, and then that back four of Livramento, Kraft, Dan Burn, and Lloyd Kelly saw the game through. But in terms of who's first choice to start the games, I still think that Lewis Hall is the one. If Lloyd Kelly is to start, I think he starts in place of Emil Kraft. So there's a couple of permutations that could go on, but Fabian Schär losing his spot for the next 3 game weeks kind of bodes well for me for Lewis Hall's minutes, and he is rather attacking. We saw glimpses of that while Lewis Hall was playing, but given that Newcastle had 10 men, it wasn't really a good depiction of what Lewis Hall could do as a left back. We saw in preseason he can be very advanced. So given 11 men, I think we on another day we see Newcastle score more goals and potentially Lewis Hall venture even further forward and thereafter get attacking returns as well. So I think Lewis Hall is also a very good short-term punt for 4.5 million. So let me know what you think of these two players, and if you are in the market, which one of them would you be choosing? So to finish off this video, I have two very cheap midfielders, Fulham midfielders in fact, at 5.5 million. So it's Emile Smith-Rowe and Andreas Pereira. Now this comparison was already being done earlier in pre-season because we already knew that these two could be good value coming into the season. But given that now it's the good run of fixtures for them, potentially if you're looking at selling someone like a Jacob Murphy, for example, then I think you could be looking at Fulham midfielders. So I've included this section here. And comparing Smith-Rowe versus Andreas Pereira, I think they present different things as an FPL asset. So if both of them are on the pitch, Emile Smith-Rowe is the one that is more advanced. We saw that for the 60 minutes that Smith-Rowe was on the field, that he was the number 10 and Andreas Pereira was slightly more defensive, playing more like a number 8. So I do think like when I compare positions wise, Smith-Rowe, if he's on the field, would be more attacking. But that being said, he did have spells where he dropped back to kind of cover the defensive midfielders a little bit more, specifically when I think Andreas Pereira moved forward. So I don't think it's set in stone that Emile Smith-Rowe is always more advanced than Pereira. He did drop back quite a bit to kind of start the play from deep, but position-wise and I think formation-wise, Smith-Rowe is the number 10 and Pereira is the number 8. So already I think that bodes slightly better for Smith-Rowe. But in terms of minutes, he is the slightly riskier one because Marco Silva already said that Smith-Rowe needs to be eased into fitness because he has not had a full Premier League game in quite a while already. So they are kind of managing his minutes. But with Pereira, he got 90 minutes. And in general, because he can play both as a number 8 and a number 10, we saw him play number 10 when Smith-Rowe was taken off. So that bode well for his attacking threat as well when Smith-Rowe was off the pitch. And to be honest, whether Smith-Rowe is on the pitch or not, Pereira is always on free kicks, he's always on corners, and he is on penalties as well, ahead of other options like Muniz, for example. I think Pereira is first choice for Fulham. So really there's a lot to like for Pereira at that 5.5 million bracket. So if I had a chance to kind of choose between them again, I have Smith-Rowe in my team. But given the chance, I think I may be picking Andreas Pereira instead for the next few, given that he is the one with slightly better minutes and having different channels to points as well, whether it's set pieces or penalties, etc. So I'm the one with Smith-Rowe here, but I could be kind of tempted by Andreas Pereira if I was picking between the two. I don't think I will be making the sideways move of Smith-Rowe to Pereira, but I still think like if given a choice, I'd be picking him. And the ownership wise, I think Smith-Rowe is at 16.4, but Pereira is only at 4%. So I think that he is more of a differential, Andreas Pereira. So let me know what you guys think of these two midfielders. I think if you are looking for more of a kind of an eye test pick, then maybe Smith-Rowe is the one that you could be tempted by. And maybe that's why he has a slightly better ownership. But considering FPL asset-wise, if I could pick again with different channels to points, Pereira could be the one. So let me know which one you would be going for. But if not, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's a new series on the channel, players to buy and sell for FPL Game Week 2. We will be doing this every single game week, so if you do enjoy it and you have any feedback from me, please do drop it in the comments down below. And also, please do subscribe as well because there's loads of content to come this season. Every week, I will be posting videos almost daily. But if not, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I will catch you guys tomorrow for a wildcard video.